everybody, Penny here. Welcome to my kitchen. So today, if you remember from last week, we had the Live and Learn fall harvest basket, and they had a lovely card included. And then we did the autumn zucchini chocolate chip loaf, and also included in the basket was pumpkin butternut squash soup. So that's what we're going to do today. And before I forget, there was one other thing in the basket, and that was David's coffee pumpkin spice. And David is a real participant. Even though he looks like a cartoon character here, he's a real guy and he loves his coffee. And he actually sells his coffee out of the Live and Learn Center through their Giftables program. So he put a pumpkin spice coffee in the basket. So I've got the pot heating up, and I'm going to put in a little bit of olive oil, get the onions started, and then I'll walk through the recipe with you. So in here I have one large onion, so we're going to put that in there. And the pan is just on like a medium heat because we're not really looking to fry the onions. We're looking to saute them and get them nice and soft and develop a little bit of flavor. So, got that started. So in the ingredients list, we have 1 tablespoon of olive oil, 1 medium onion, 4 cups of chicken broth. So 4 cups is 900 mils, roughly. So 1 carton of, vegetable broth. You can use chicken broth, you can use water, whatever you might have on hand. Then we're going to have 2 pounds or 1 whole butternut squash. That would be about a largish one. So I have a small one and a medium one, all chopped up, peeled and chopped up and ready to go. There were also 2 carrots in the basket that I assumed belonged to the soup, but they're not on the list. But we're going to use them anyway. So I'm going to throw them in the onions. So we're just going to saute that a little bit. There we go. Okie dokie. So then we have 2 cups of pumpkin puree, which I have right here. Now, they gave us a big can, which is like almost 800 milliliters. And I was left with roughly 1 cup left over. Don't throw that away. That is perfect for muffins. You can throw it in pancake mixes, waffles. Just don't throw it away. It's still useful. You can pop it in a freezer and keep it for the next time you're doing a little bit of baking. It's all good. Okay. And then we have 2 potatoes peeled and grated. The reason they're grated, of course, is because you want them to dissolve into the soup because the potato acts as a thickener, which is fantastic. And then we have our spice pouch. And our spice pouch has, my arms are not long enough, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, thyme, chili powder, ground pepper, and salt. So they've even got all that measured out for you, which is fantastic. Now, because we're using dry spices, I put them in the beginning because you want to wake them up and make sure they give you all the flavor that you can possibly get. If you were to put them in at the end, you would miss out on developing some of that flavor. So whenever I'm using dried spices to make soup or spaghetti sauce or anything like that, I always put them in the beginning. Okay. This is looking good. I'll just show you. See? Looking good. Yes, I know you don't like it when I lift the pan off the machine doesn't like it when I lift the pan off, but that's okay. I am going to add just a little bit more olive oil because that's looking really dry, but that's okay too. You can really smell the cinnamon. I've never put cinnamon in soup before, so I'm really interested to see how this turns out. And I should say too, the pumpkin puree is pure pumpkin puree. It's not a can of pumpkin pie filling. It's just pumpkin. There's no spices, no sugar or anything like that added. It's just pure pumpkin. Okie dokie. We're getting a little bit of flavor going on there, which is great. Takes just a few minutes. And then we are going to add our stock. And they were so thoughtful when they did up the baskets, because they put in vegetable stock. They were very careful to choose recipes that would be gluten-free, good for vegetarians, and so on. So they were very, very careful about that, which is great. But again, if you wanted to use chicken stock, if that's what you have, go for it. And if all you have is a few cups of water, go for that too. Now we have to bring this up to a very nice simmer. So we're going to turn that up. There we go. That's going to take just a few minutes to come up to a boil. So while that's coming up to a boil, I should also say we only just grated the potatoes. The rest of it I prepared a little bit ahead of time, but the potatoes you want to do last minute, because if you don't, they're going to turn color. They're going to go like a brownish color. Really won't affect the flavor, but it doesn't look very pretty when you're, doing a video. So I did the potatoes the very last minute before we started filming. And that works really well. The squash itself, if you have one good large one, or say two small, or a small and a medium, which is like what I had, that's fine. But you know what? If you only have one small one, then you can either add the extra cup of pumpkin puree, or I would imagine you could add 3 or 4, maybe even 6 carrots, because they're all in that root vegetable family. Even though carrots aren't squash, it's still like a rootish vegetable, nice and hard, nice and hearty. So that would work too. So don't let that stop you from making the soup. Oh, that smells delicious. It smells delicious.
It do, actually.
Yeah. There we go. That does not take long. There we go. So now we're going to add our potatoes. And once the soup is all done, we're going to use an immersion blender, and I'll show you that at the end. Or you can use a regular blender, because this is meant to be served as a smooth soup. But if you like chunky soup, you don't have to use an immersion blender. Okay. Oh, it smells delicious. Now we're going to throw in our pumpkin. Yeah. There we go. Oh, that looks lovely. Hey, Caitlin. Would you like to help me put in the squash? Just put in a little bit at a time, because you don't want it to splash with hot water. There you go. It looks so good.
That paint I cleaned up.
Yes, I know, but we're going to do that after. Okay, don't drop them. Just lay them in, because you splash everywhere. Thank you. So once all the squash is in the pot and she comes to a nice simmer, we're going to let it simmer for 20 minutes at least, probably closer to a half an hour, which is what's written on the card. You have to go down lower, because if not, you're splashing. So put your hand down a bit lower. There you go. Thank you. Okay. Oh, that looks lovely. Okay, everybody. So we're going to bring this up to a simmer, let her go for about a half an hour, and then we'll be back. Hi, everybody. Back again. Okay, so here is our lovely pot of butternut squash and pumpkin soup. I can't tilt it because it's heavy. However, we are just going to show you. This is my immersion blender. So it takes a few minutes. You just slowly go around and around, and it whizzes up. It gets a little loud, but it whizzes up. So you can do that as much or as little as you want. And voila, we have soup. Now, it's very thick. It is so good. Look at that. Look at that. Look. Isn't that yummy? Now, sprinkle some Parmesan cheese or a little dollop of yogurt or a drizzle of olive oil, and Bob's your uncle. So I hope you give it a go. Enjoy. Bye.